Welcome to this little scratch tutorial where we today are gonna be making this zombie survival game. So first of all we take this cat sprite, we'll delete it and then choose a sprite and paint another sprite. First of all we just take the circle here and we can drag a little circle on our board here. Then we'll take the line tool, make the line a little bit bigger, then draw a line in the center of the sphere and outwards. I feel like the line should be a gun here. It's a bit too thin, so we're just gonna make it a bit thicker, like this. Then we're gonna select it and move it whatever backwards. Now we have this with a little gun. We can select the select tool, mark it all, and make sure it's in the center of this little cross here in the middle. So it's about centered. Maybe this should be moved a little bit. So like this, now we have our little sprite. Then I'll mark it all. Then I'll turn it 90 degrees. So we have it this way. Now it's a little bit big on our playground here, so we can make it about 40, maybe 30. That's the size of it. Now we're gonna make another sprite. So we can choose a sprite and paint. This is gonna be the bullets. So I'm again gonna take the line tool. I'm gonna draw a line here. The line again is a bit thin. Make it a bit thicker. And then I'm gonna zoom in a little bit and then try to make it a little bit smaller here. So smaller, smaller, smaller. Red like this. Now we can see here it's a bit too thick now. A little bit thinner and a little bit smaller, like this. You can play around with this as you want. So just make sure it's in the center here. Then we can zoom out again. And now we have a bullet and we have our sprite one. Then we're gonna make a zombie. So choose sprite and make paint. Again, we're gonna use the circle tool. We're gonna choose no outline. Then we're gonna make it about a green. Make it a circle right here, place it in the middle. I'm gonna take the line tool, make it like 4 wide, draw a line like an arm and another arm. Then I'm gonna select the arms and move them backwards like this. Then I'm gonna take the paint tool, just gonna paint it some brownish color, give it a little bit of a rotten look. So this is gonna be our zombie. Again, the zombie is a bit thick. Gonna make it 30, so it's a little bit smaller. So now we have our 3 sprites. Then we also want another one for a start. We're going to paint again, make the box here, just make a box like this, do a text, and type in start, Control A to mark it all, go fill it with black so we can actually see it, select tool, make it a bit bigger, like this, select it all by dragging here, and now we have a sprite 1, which is our person. We can give it a name here, person. We can give this one, so this is our bullets. We got our zombie, and we got our start. Now we have all our sprites ready. So first of all, we're gonna click on the person, go to code in the top left corner. Then we're gonna take this when the flag is clicked. Then we're gonna drag in control forever. And then we're gonna if statement here. We go into sensing, no touching, key pressed. So we check when up arrow is pressed. We want our person to move and point in a direction. So when our up arrow is pressed, we go into motion up here and we go to point in direction. Click on the direction we want to point upwards, and then we say to it that it has to move 10 steps. We can right click on this and duplicate, point down here. Then we can click on the key down arrow. We can take the direction, point in direction down, move 10 steps, duplicate again, take the right arrow, point in direction 90, 10 steps, duplicate, again, left arrow, point in direction to the left, and now we should have our person over here, which should be able to move. So that's all good. Now we have a moving person over here. Now we're gonna move into our bullets. So if you click on the bullets, you'll see this. So in here, we're gonna take the events. We're gonna have this one when the flag is clicked. We're gonna go to looks. We go take the hide function. Then we're gonna go into our events, and I'm gonna take the one that said when space is pressed, and then we're gonna go into control, check the one create a clone of myself, and then again we're gonna drag in when I start as a clone. We're gonna go to looks, take the show. So when I start as a clone, I want to show. Then I want to go into motion and have the one that says go to right here. And instead of random position, I take person. So the sprite, the bullet goes to the person. And then I will have it to point in direction. So we have a point in direction, and then we go to sensing, and we got this one down here. So in this one, I can take direction of person. And here we can take direction. So point in direction of person. After that, we're gonna go into control, take the forever function. In here, we're gonna get the move 10 steps. And in this forever loop, we're gonna have another if statement. So if our bullet is touching, so in sensing, touching the edge, we want it to be deleted. So we go into control and we say delete this clone. We need another if statement in here. So if, and then we should have the touching again, drag it in, and then set zombie. Then we also want to delete this clone. This could cause a little bit of trouble down the road. So when we hit the zombie, we want to add this wait before, and here we can set 1.01 seconds and then delete the clone just to be sure of this working. So now we can test it again, see if we can move around, and when we shoot, we actually shoot a bullet that disappears when it hits the edges of the map. Good. So now we can start to make our start button. So if we click on the start button, and then we will have again, we'll have events. When the flag is clicked, we want this one to show. So we go into looks and take the show, and then we take the events, and when the sprite is clicked, we want this to hide. So in looks, hide, and then we want it to broadcast something, so the other sprites know that the game is gonna start. So we go into events and we broadcast a message, create a new message, set start, and press OK. Now when I want to do this, I can click on start, I can click start here, and now it disappears. And if I click the flag again, it comes up. So maybe we want, oh sorry, maybe we want the start button to go somewhere else. We will need to like move it, mark it and move it down a bit, and when we can take start again, it's still a bit out there over here, and maybe we want it to be a little bit smaller. So now we can take it here, and we can actually move it. To move it on the board over here, we can just move this away for a bit, and then we can move it where we want it. So we want it here, select it again, and like this. Now we have a starting button that broadcasts start. We're gonna use that later. But for now, we're gonna go into the zombie, and that's where all the actual magic happens. So first of all, we want a couple of variables for this. So first of all, we go into the variables, make variables. So we want an lives. So we want to track how many lives we have left. We want to make another variable that says amount underscore zombies. So we can keep track of how many zombies there are. Then we want to make a another one that says random zombies, random underscore zombies. And for the last one, we want a zombie level. Zombie underscore level. And now we have how many zombies there are, how many lives we have left, a random zombie variable, and a zombie level. Good. And they're showing up here and we can hide them afterwards. First of all, we want to go into events. We're gonna have when the flag is clicked, we want to into variables, we want to set a variable, and that variable is amount of zombies to 0. Good. And then we're going to look and we're gonna hide it. So first of all, we set when you click here, we say, okay, there's no zombies and the zombies is hidden. Then we want to go into events, and when I receive start, so when I press the start button, then we're gonna have a couple of if statements. So we're gonna go into control, say if, and then we are gonna go into our operators, take the equals, so equals here into variables, and take the zombie levels equals to 0. So if our zombie level equals to 0, then we want to create a clone of the zombie. So we want to create one clone. So we go into control and we're gonna create a clone of myself right here. And then we're gonna go into variables and change our variables amount of zombies by 1 because we're creating a zombie. Now we want to know what the zombie is gonna do when it starts as a clone, and that we can do in our control. So when I start as a clone, I want to show myself. So we want to show the zombie when it starts as a clone. Afterwards, we're gonna use a set our random zombie variable. So we're gonna set our random zombies to go into operators and take the pick random number from 1 to 4. This is just because we want the zombies to be spawning in every corner of the map here. We can set spawn points, but I just want them to be spawning random places. After this, we want a if statement. So we take this one if, and then we can go into our operators and take this equal sign again. So, and then into variables, and we take random zombies equals to 1. So if this one lands on 1, we want our zombie to go to motion, go to an X and a Y axis. So on our Y axis we want 28. So it was said it's always gonna be down here. And our X axis we want all the way from the left side to the right side. So again, we can use in operator, we can use the random, and here we can take minus 200 until 200. So now we have this. This one we can right click and we can duplicate over here, and if random zombies go to 2, we can say, okay, now we want in the top, and the top could be 158. Then we can duplicate this one again. We can say if random zombies is gotta be 3. This one could be moved over on our y-axis, so they now spawn somewhere on the left or the right side. This one could be 159. Remember, this should be minus 259. And our x-axis, we want to make it minus 220. Then we can duplicate this, put it down here, and say random variable 4. And then we can say, okay, go to x 220. So now our zombies should be spawning somewhere around the edges of our playing ground here. Now we obviously want when the zombie spawns, we want them to move. So after all of this, we can use control and then take this forever loop. In the forever loop, we're gonna go to motion, and then we're gonna point towards. So when we want the zombie to spawn, we want it to point towards our person, so it follows the person. Then we're gonna go to move, and then we're gonna move it 2 steps. So in here we can actually change the movement speed of steps or the zombies. So if we want to make it harder, we can always change the movement speed. Now we want an if statement. So in control, we go to if. So we want if the zombie in sensing touches our person, we want to go to variables and we want to change our lives by -1. And then we also want to change amount of zombies by -1. So when the zombies actually touches the person, the zombie are deleted, and changes the lives by -1 and amount of zombies by -1. And then we're gonna go to control and say delete this clone. Also, we want to say another if statement under here that says if touching the bullets. So if the touches the bullet, we're gonna go to variables and say change amount of zombies by -1 because obviously the zombie dies. We're gonna go to control and then delete this clone. So now the zombie would actually die. So if you press play here, we can see the zombie move towards us, and then if you shoot it, it dies. So if you play again, we can see the zombie actually have some movement, but doesn't really point at us. And that is because when we made the zombie, if you press the zombie and go to costume, it's in here it will be turning the wrong way. So if you just take it here and turn it 90 degrees like this, and then we play it again, we can see now the zombie actually follows our person and dies when we shoot it. So now we have completed this little task, but we only have one level. So now we're gonna make another level. So we have our level 0. Next we will check if our zombie level is 1. So here now down somewhere we're gonna make every time there's no zombies we go one level up. So first of all we're gonna make this, so if zombie level equals 0 we do this, and then we can duplicate this one and say if zombie level equals 1, then create a clone of myself, set amount of zombies by 1. So instead of this we can go to make this loop, we can take this repeat for 2 times, and then we just want a little bit of weight in between this. So here we can make a point 0.1 so that the zombies doesn't spawn at the same time, but there's a little bit delay between it. So now it repeats this 2 times, so actually spawns 2 zombies on level 1. Then we can duplicate this one down here, just stop it there, set level is equals to 2. Then we can repeat it 4 times. Then we can duplicate it again, move it a bit down. We can set this is level 3. We can repeat it for 8 times. We can duplicate it again, call it level 4. We can repeat this for 16 times, and we can duplicate it again and call it level 5, and we can duplicate this to 32. So now every time we are doubling all of the amount of zombies for each level. But we need some kind of way to actually track what level we are on. So if we go back to our person, we can make this level counter. To do that, we go to event and then set when I receive start. Then we go to control and take a wait 1 second. And then we're gonna do the forever loop, and in the forever loop we're gonna have an if statement. So in the if statement we want an operator that set equals sign here, and then we're gonna take our variables amount of zombies in here and say when if amount of zombies equals 0, we will gonna broadcast. So in events, broadcast start, and then we're gonna to variables, and we will set our amount of zombie level. Yes, we're gonna set our zombie level. No, we're not gonna set it. We're gonna change it actually. So we're gonna change our zombie level by 1, and then we are gonna wait. gonna wait for 1 second. So there's a little bit delay, so we don't have any misconception between these functions here. So now if we test it and press start, we can see the zombie comes out here. We shoot it, it dies, there come 2 zombies, and we can try to shoot this zombie, yes, and then it spawns 4 zombies, and so on. Yes, so everything here works. Obviously we want our lives to matter, so we can go in here and again we can say when I receive star, and the flag is clicked, so we go into event, and when the flag is clicked we're gonna set, so in our variables we're gonna set our lives to about 3. Yes. So now we have 3 lives, yes. And then we're gonna make a forever. And then we're gonna like an if. So in an operator, equal sign, and we're gonna go to a variable. So take our lives equals to 0. Then we're gonna go to control and stop all. So if our lives touches 0, everything will stop. So if I go to play now, and I hit, everything stops. And I gotta play again, press start, everything spawns. And now you see that there spawns a lot of zombies at the same time. So we're gonna need to do something about that, and we can just like do it in here. So we can use our variable and we can use the set the zombie level equals to 0. So now every time I press start here, our level is gonna be 0, and then we can like play the game actually. Yeah. So that's all good. So now we've made this little game. Maybe we want a bit of sound because it's a little bit dull right now. So if we want any sound, we can actually go into our bullets and we can take, okay, when I start as a clone, we can go into sound. And this pop sound is already here, and we can go into sound right here. Go down to choose sound. There's no shot. Maybe there's a laser, I know. Yes, and we can take this laser shot and we can soften it a little bit, like this. So we can go into code again, and we can start the laser sound. So when I say press now, can actually hear the sound. Yes, so that's working. Then we can go into our zombie. So if our zombie touches the bullet, we want a sound. And we can go into sound. Is there a die? There's no die. So there's a lot of different sound effects here. And which one I really want, I don't know. But yeah, this is yeah. Whatever. Maybe this bite sound should be good for one of them. And we can take another sound. You can also just whatever do your own sound, and we can take this ricochet. So we're going to code again. Then we're gonna, if it hits the person, we can take the bite sound. So right here, and if it hits by the bullet, we can take a ricochet sound. So now we actually have a little game with sounds on, so we can shoot. And we hit it. Ah, yeah. And then we're dead. So that was a little tutorial on how to make this little zombie shooter game.